Hey y'all, it's Hope here at Crafty Hope, and welcome to my quick look at my index card today, also known as ICADs, for week 3. Now, for day 15, the prompts were friendship and stencil, and as you can see, stencil was easy enough. Friendship I did not work into here. Now, this week I struggled quite a bit with a few of my cards, so this was one of them. You'll see I dried the coffee here through the stencil. That was some of my instant coffee, and I do love that. And I didn't dry it completely. I wanted to keep it a little wet. And so when I peeled up my stencil, oh, that's how it looked. Not much of a stencil. So I mucked around with that for quite a while before I got a background that I was semi-interested with. And then finally stuck down a few interesting, elements that would draw away from that mess in the background, and that just happens sometimes. I think I brought it around in the end. Now I am only giving you brief looks at each of these cards because if you've seen my other 2 quick roundup videos, you know I have a Patreon account where you can pay a small fee to see the entire month of cards I'm creating for both months of June and July. I had to crack up at card 16's prompts because they were yellow and Naples yellow. And y'all, I didn't really incorporate the Naples yellow in. I didn't have anything in my stash that was Naples yellow, but yellow itself was easy enough. I had started with these papers that already had yellow on them, including a duplicate paper there. Using my fluid medium to kind of get them down and make it yummy and transparent. But this was another one I struggled with. You can see it became a bit of a muddy mess, and I decided to brighten it up with a bit of fabric that I did some stamping on with a Tim Holtz stamp and my Stays On ink. Now I'll stitch that down to finish out this card along with a sentiment that I typed up. If you want to learn more about ICAD, I encourage you to check out Tammy Garcia. She is Daisy Yellow online, or Gypsy999 on Instagram. You can also follow the Index Card a Day account. And the second set of prompts I use are from Nina Fickett, and she has Mixed Media ICAD. I'll have all of their prompts down below. Now, those first 2 cards were 2 of my struggling cards. This next one, this one is day 17, and the prompts were bingo and book. And I found I had a lot of bingo elements, and book was easy enough because I used a bunch of book pages to collage down in the background. And I tried to keep myself from going too far from this one and keep myself reined in, and that really seemed to work. And you can see that to bring in bingo, I've got a little bingo chip piece. I also used a stamp and part of a a napkin kind of in the background. You can't really see them. So here's that little bingo chip piece that I'm going to pull in, and also on another button. Well, also on a button. You'll see more. Yeah. This week I had quite a few buttons in there. That should come as no surprise if you saw my last Thrifty Thursday video. So I do love my buttons. Yes, I loved this one a lot. Now my next super struggle one is this one, day 18, Memento and Cubism. I tried to bring in something that I would have considered a memento, but struggled and finally was like, okay, I've got to push some of this back. So I scraped gesso over the top of it before going, that's not going to work either. And I covered the whole thing up with more gesso. You'll see that here. So I was trying to bring in that paintbrush on the left, but it just wasn't working. So here's a reminder that if you're not liking what you make, 2 things. 1, you can cover it up and start over, or you can just remember that this is a daily challenge, and you'll get another chance the next day to do something else. So it doesn't have to be a lot of pressure. It doesn't have to take real long. It's about making something every day. And I really love that coming in, even if I am struggling this week. So I brightened this one up with a touch of moss along with some watercolor mushrooms that I have. That's part of a free printable I gave to my patrons. Prompt Prompts 19 were turtle and something vintage. Now, y'all, I just couldn't think how to bring a turtle in here, but something vintage like book was super easy because I use a ton of vintage stuff. I mean, vintage just means anything over 25 years old. Now, that receipt there I have scanned to also give to my patrons because it's from 1991 and it's our grocery receipt, and it cracks me up how cheap things were. So everything I collaged down on here, with the exception of these little bits, are vintage. So that's one of the ways I added vintage, but I also added some vintage buttons, some mother of pearl buttons on here, along with watercolored onto some vintage paper. So that's how vintage got worked into it. And I could say that turtle's on there because of the green, but y'all, that didn't hit me till later. So no big deal. And again, and you don't have to use the prompts. The prompts are totally just there to inspire you if you need it. And I use them when I can, and not always. I did use both of the prompts, which were reversed in your favorite medium on day 20. My favorite medium is crackle paste, so I put a bunch of it down on my card and then tried to accent it with several different sprays. I think I've got Distress Oxide spray in peeled paint there, which I thought was funny with the crackle paste, along with some infusion sprays. Now, once I got that all dry, I was trying to keep it super simple, adding some gold foil. And then for my sentiment to bring in the reverse prompt, I typed up the words, "Don't look back, you're not going that way," which I thought went really well with this altered butterfly. Y'all, that butterfly is from Dollar Tree, and I altered it a couple different ways, and I'm adding it to the far right of the card like he's flying off away from all that crackle. So that one was a lot of fun. And my very last card is going to be, or in this week, is going to be number 21 with the prompts onomatopoeia and speech. Now, I'm not going to use onomatopoeia. I just couldn't think of a way to work it in. I thought about it later. But for speech, I found a copy of a speech I wrote and gave in 1994 when I was 18 years old. And so I used that in some of the collage. But then when it comes to the sentiment, once I kind of figure this all out, here's that speech. I end up using the last line of it for my sentiment on here, which I thought was kind of sweet. It was like my 18-year-old self was speaking to me from the past. It was very interesting. So I'm going to get all of these things kind of stuck down and done, and this is another one that I thought was super fun. I'm surprised I used the pink shades in here, but it worked out. I hope ICAD is treating you well. I'm hoping to continue sharing these quick looks at how mine are going on. But if you want to see the full long videos, definitely head over to Patreon and join over there. But no pressure if you can't. I completely understand. Let me know how your ICAD journey is doing, and I want to make sure I'm following you on it. All right, guys, thanks for spending this little bit of time with me. I will hopefully see y'all later with more goodness. All right, bye. Have a great day.